The phrase, "there's a greater you on the inside of you," means being above normal, understanding your worth, and being confident in knowing who you are. But the first person who has to realize that there's a greater you on the inside of you is you. In life, we all go through stages of the good, the bad, and the ugly, which leads us to our purpose and promise. UTCM is a platform where you get to share your story and your truth of unmasking moments that allows you to embrace all stages in your life. UTCM looks forward to many people being able to unmask, uncover, and unveil themselves on the podcast. Thank you for watching and joining us.
Hey, we are live.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. We live. We good. We can hear each other. We can see each other.
All the technical difficulties are working.
Yes. We in it. We ain't gotta worry about no distractions, no interruptions. We was just literally having our own podcast moment behind the scenes, behind stage, before we went live. But I am super excited. Hello everyone. Welcome again to UTCM season 6, episode 7. I'm excited to be back. I took a break last month, but I'm here. And I'm here with Odaly. I'm super excited to have her. She is going to help us center with ourselves. That's going to be the word. Center with ourselves. She helped me even before getting on this live. She was a blessing to me. She doesn't even understand how much of a blessing she was to me. So I'm just grateful and thankful for your yes, first of all, for your willingness to show up on the platform.
That goes right back to you. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you. So, I mean, congratulations on all the seasons that you have done, and taking breaks is part of that. And I think like continuing it, and I appreciate you for letting me come on your show. I love everything about the colors, the queen. I was like, I love your last name too. I'm like, yes, Bridges. We're bridging wellness, we're bridging community. Because you're touching people in the space that your platform is, and same in mine. So thank you so much for blessing me with your presence.
I love it. So yeah, the people are gonna get to learn. Well, at least the people that I have on my side, in my community. I'm quite sure you have some people in your community that are gonna be watching too as well, right? Just continue to bridge that bridge of hope. Literally, like that is something that kind of came to me maybe a couple of months ago, right? Like, because I really had to, again, it's been this power of stillness and this power of pausing, which has allowed me to really learn who I am, learn what I want to do, learn what I desire for UTCM to be. So I really, and I felt like, me allowing myself to really sit with myself. I've learned that UTCM is, a bridge to hope, right? It is a space of, safety. And then it's a community of growth, right? So we can grow together. So, yeah.
I am going to ask, even though I know, what is the UTCM?
So UTCM stands for Unmasking the Covered Me. Right? Yeah. So I was covered for a long time. I was wearing an invisible mask.
We all do, we gotta, sometimes we put it on, we're like, oh, wait, I wasn't wearing this anymore. I said I wouldn't, so.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And you know what? This journey has been nothing but leaps and bounds, and hard times and good times. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly is what I call it. Right? It's the good and the bad and the ugly of what we call this journey of life. Right? That's just what it is, right? I went to a woman empowerment event on Saturday, and the theme was "She's Ready." Right? And when I thought, when you think about that, well, at least for me, right? When you think about, oh, she's ready, like, yeah, I'm ready for my next move. Like, what's next? What I'm gonna do next, right? What I'm gonna start? I'm gonna write that book, or I'm gonna go back to school, right? And the pastor who, leads this whole event, she said, it's not about what's your next move. It's about when life gets hard, are you ready?
Mm.
And I said, wow, that's been sitting with me for all week because, as just humans and when we have human experiences, sometimes we don't deal with disappointment well. And I know for me, disappointment is not my strong suit. I get real weary, I get real shaky, I get real like I can't do this. But yeah, being she ready means like, are you ready when life gets hard, when life hits you, right? What are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are
And
you
I'm gonna take advantage of you saying that, because in the line of work that I do, and working with children that are facing like severe illnesses, and teaching them like holistic practices. And one of the things that I like to tell them is like, what you're learning right now, especially if like this is the first time they're having an interaction with me, I'm like, what you're learning right now is not just for this moment, because this moment is hard. This moment it sucks, it hurts, it's gonna feel unbearable. And I was like, but everything that we're gonna learn is going to, because I was like, and then one day you're not, none of this is gonna be here. You're gonna get better, and you're gonna move out of, you're gonna stop coming here. And I was like, but the tools that you learn with me are for life, if you choose to embody them, if you choose to practice them. And so maybe I think I'm going to take the opportunity to perhaps we should introduce ourselves.
I was just getting ready to say, I was like, that's a good segue, Odaly. So, Odaly, right? Won't you brag about yourself a little bit, right? Brag about yourself,
Mm.
introduce yourself to the people, right? Because there may be some people that are watching that may know you, and then there may be people who don't know you, right? And I'm quite sure somebody will rewatch this too as well. So yeah, so brag about yourself. Tell us about who Odaly is.
Okay, so it's so funny because we had this, we were talking about prepping, right? Because there's preparation that happens before this moment goes live. But recently, like just this week, me and one of my close girlfriends, she's a soul sister. She's like, oh, can you please, she's like, can you send me certain things about me that describe me? And then she sent me like a list of things that that she used to describe me, because she's like working on a post. And one of the things on there is like, you're the one most likely to get people to shake their asses, move their bodies. And she's like, and someone that holds deep loving space for people. And it's like and those, and then talking about two different things coexisting. You were saying like all life is like about the good, the bad, the worst. Like all those things are always at times happening simultaneously. And it's like it doesn't have to be like just one or the other. And I think like that's like the biggest part when we are going through challenges and when we are facing hardship, to find also joy within that. And that's hard to do because you're almost feeling guilty for feeling joy, especially if something in life feels very heavy, and if you're dealing with sickness or with like life and death situations. But I am Odaly Tineo. I'm a mind body spirit specialist. And basically when I say that, I what that means is that um I hold myself accountable for learning practices that some are evidence-based, some are holistic, some are intuitive, that are nurturing the mind, the body, and the heart. If you want to call that the spirit, you can call that the spirit, but I like saying it the heart because everyone understands that we all have a heart. That's how we're living, walking, and breathing. And so what makes me a specialist on these things is that I practice them. I continue to educate myself. I continue to learn. I continue to, join, beautiful people like you, Miss Bridges, that are creating platforms for wellness and communities. And that is like my big thing for me. It's bringing this to communities, especially BIPOC communities, because like one of the things that we talked about, luxury. This is like, wellness, wellness. Oh, my brand is Wealthness, so I mix them up. But wellness is everyone is deserving of wellness, and no one should be gatekeeping that, especially not
Mhm.
with financial means, you know. And our communities are like, in many ways, are suffering, and the worst, I would say, you know, in certain ways, because there's so much against us at times. We're still thriving in that. And then for me, it was very important once I started to like come into learn more about yoga and its philosophies and different practices and mindfulness and breathing techniques, that I share this with the people that look like me, that sound like me, that communities that I come from, because I did start in many like white spaces, and it was cool, and there's, you know, no disrespect, but it was like, no, I want to be doing this for the people that have never sat for a moment and felt their breath in their chest, you know, and are like surviving through life. So that's just a little bit about who I am.
I love it. I love and you can tell that you are passionate about what you do, but I think that also has to go a step further, right? Like you can be passionate about something, but you know what I'm saying, not really be good at it.
Mm,
But you can tell like this is something that you live by. You are a
mm,
living example of what you produce, of what you speak, of what you say, right? I've experienced your mindfulness sessions that we had at the job, and I believe that's kind of where it started, you know, not
mm,
realizing like that's where, you know, I really wanted to kind of lean more into this stillness and this pausing. Because right, and we talked about this too, right? There could be a flip side of being still and pausing, especially in the community that we live in, right? Because you being still and pausing, right, can have you have to sit with yourself. And sometimes we don't want to sit with ourselves. I know
mm,
for me, that was very challenging, right? Like for me, and I wrote it down, I realized why I resisted pausing was because I thought pausing meant I was failing.
mm,
Right? I thought I wasn't enough. I wasn't being productive, right?
mm,
And then I wasn't perfect, right? That's the big one for me. Like not being perfect. Like I can't, you know, like, oh, I can't get it done. I'm not gonna get it done, right? Like I'm gonna miss out or I'm not gonna be able to do it, right? And then it goes into that even like maybe looking for validation too as well, right? Like all those things. So I believe that this is just the start of, you know, something new for our community, for us to continue to lean into understanding that, you know, and taking our power back, that it's okay for us to pause, right? Which is why I called this episode, what did I name this episode? I said the power of the pause, how stillness creates space for healing.
mm. And I love that when we were connecting and you said the power of the pause, I was like, the power of the pause. Oh my goodness. And you know, and I guess, you know, as you brought that up and we talked about that, and you just talked about the flip side of pausing, because a lot of that at times is sitting with yourself, and many of us are not willing to do that, because to do that and to sit with what is within the pause means that can like flip your world upside down, because it's calling you to show up for yourself in ways that are respecting yourself instead of disrespecting. And it's funny how some of us will quickly respond to someone outside of us disrespecting us, when we ourselves are like, we have been disrespecting ourselves in so many ways. So I you know, and no shade too, because that also takes time to come into accountability of what part you play
Yeah.
within whatever that is, you know.
Yeah.
um but also, one thing that I have noticed about the power of the pause is that you can also use it to avoid, you know, like
Mhm.
you can use pausing and to not take action into what is being asked of you. And at times when you're leading your life intuitively and connecting with yourself and connecting with higher power, that does not look like anybody else's path. It may be similar, extremely similar, but it's not like anyone's path. So in order for you to sit with the pause and first even come, okay, let me start practicing what that looks like, what does
Right.
that feel like, and understanding that we're not our thoughts, we're not our emotions, and
Mm.
seeing them as outside of ourselves, like something that we can sit literally and watch and observe ourselves kind of like interact with, and how we interact with other people. But one of the things that a big of the and I speak of this pause because I have found, because I'm good at the pausing, right? Oh, okay, I'm a mindfulness coach, I can do all these things. So that within myself, I have used it, it has come into realizations at times where I'm like, okay, I'm using this pause to actually be in avoidance of some action I need to take,
That's good.
and then that can turn into overthinking, and overthinking will keep you in stagnant spaces. And I'm not speaking of it as if I'm like above it. I'm speaking of it because I go through it, often. And
Mm.
so it's like, so that was like also another side to that.
That's so good. Wait, so you first of all, you said a lot, right? But you just said something. And I was trying. I'm like, hold it, Naisha, hold it, because you gotta let her finish her thought. You said we are not our thoughts.
Mm.
Can you kind of just unpack, unpack what that really means, that we are not our thoughts?
So there, are you right? I used to be a yoga and mindfulness teacher for elementary school,
Mm,
and I used to teach this to them. And one of the things that we would talk about is like, how many thoughts do you think like you have a day? Like that was like a way of opening up the lesson, and like some of them will be like 1,000, 10,000, billions. Like truth is that we have, there's like trillions and billions of thoughts coming in and out, right? They're just like, you can even look at it as like energy just flowing,
mm,
right? And
mm,
so and even today I was having a session with someone where we were talking about this, and I'm like, when we sit in stillness, right, when there is power in the pause, there is actually a practice that you can do where you become the observer of what your thoughts are. And then the practice requires you to put the thoughts into three different buckets. And it's like a memory, an idea, or a worry. Or you could do like past, present, future.
mm,
And you start to observe, the more you practice it, the more you start to pick up some of the patterns, maybe your inner dialogue. Is it positive? Is it negative? When does the inner critic come up higher? And even the inner critic, which is the inner critic, and not to get too deep into this, right? But the inner critic is composed of many things, like society, upbringing, beliefs, like even things that you didn't even know you're believing because somehow someone down the line said that and you grew up with that. So that critical voice is made up of a lot of things, and that critical voice is really just a voice is trying to protect you. So
mm,
in ways of trying to protect you, it will diminish you because it's trying to avoid, let's say, for you to expose yourself or say something silly or get it wrong. And quite honestly, it's like nurturing, no, first of all, capturing that inner critic voice, changing the narrative, nurturing it, flipping the narrative when you are catching it. That takes practice. And so in order for it to take practice, then it has to come into a space of pausing
yeah.
and being able to actually make time to sit still and observe yourself.
Right. Right. Which is, I think that's a good segue to the question that is in my brain. It's not, it wasn't on the email that I sent you, right? It's just something that I just got now, right? Because, we're talking about, this stillness and this pausing, right? And this is, reality is though, right? In the community that we live in and that we serve, and right, that's not reality for everybody. It hasn't been a space that's been cultivated for them to sit still and pause, right? A lot of us have been on survival mode, right? You don't have time to sit still and pause, right? Like it's on to the next. I'm more future focused, right? I can't live in the moment, right? I got to know what's going to be happening next because I don't know where my next meal is coming from, right? Or I don't know if my lights is going to get shut off, right? Like reality is reality, right? So, and I know the work that you do, right? And because of the community that we serve, right? And the patients, that you deal with and that you have to handle, right? Some of them may not have resources, right? Like, how do you, I don't want to use the word buy in, but like, how do you get people to, kind of want to lean in to, what this mindfulness can do, for just for their sustainability?
That's a really good question, and especially because working like my core, let's say like my job, right? Like my job that I actually go to, and I'm working with patients and their families, and there some of them are facing like life and death situations, and you're talking to them about slowing down and pausing.
Right. They're like,
But the power in that is like the experience that they're receiving in the moment. And it's like something like the word, now I've been noticing this, and this word has been out in for many, I mean, I don't know when it was created, so I'm not even gonna go there, but I just know that now I'm seeing it more, like I'm seeing more trainings adding to it, like the word somatic is like it creates an experience where like something shifts, so it's like a mind body connection from a physical experience that you have that now you have like some reference to. And one of the things in doing mindfulness and yoga and mindfulness work is that when you the breathing, the breathing, it's, I always tell people, the breathing is the body's first medicine. Like it's what you have, like your breath can make you aware of how you're feeling, your breath can help regulate your excitement, your breath can help heighten your body if you're feeling tired. Your breath has, there's so many breathing techniques to support yourself. And so one of the first things is just most of the families, and let's say most of the people in our community, when we're talking about BIPOC communities, are already like operating from a very high stress survival space. And no one taught them to slow down and really feel what they're feeling, and connect with what their thoughts are, and empower themselves to like really empower themselves to think for themselves, and then be accountable for the decisions that they're making, no matter what the outcome is. But the buy-in would be the breath. I would say like the minute that I guide uh two main breaths, which
Yep.
we can definitely do as we get into mindfulness. But the minute that you go into that, and we did a study, we did like an assessment in the hospital when I led the mindfulness sessions, which was one of them that you attended.
Yeah.
The biggest takeaway from those 4 weeks for everyone, for most people, were the breathing practices. And
Yeah.
how and the one thing that I was so proud of is that was like the one thing that they committed to practicing after these 4 weeks were done.
Yeah.
And and that's what we want. Like, I'm not a gatekeeper of the tools, I'm doing the tools with you, and you do them, and then you apply them into your routines. And I don't know, if you want to get into the mindfulness, but we can go deeper into like how that plays in. But the breath, just to answer your question, the buy-in is the breath, because the minute that you facilitate for them to slow down and just be in the moment, you've created a somatic experience. They remember what that felt like to regulate the nervous system in that moment.
That's good. So
Mhm.
really just creating that space,
Mhm.
right? And bringing that awareness that this is a safe space for you to
Mhm.
be able to
Mhm.
breathe,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like
Like
even noticing your breath.
yeah. Yes, even noticing your breath. Like, even at times I tell people, before you change any, you're not changing anything about the breath. Notice where it's at in the body. Like, even in this moment, if you're listening to me, just don't change anything about your breath. Just notice where it's at. Is it superficial? Is it deep? Is it flowy? Is it constricted? Is one side stuffy? Is one side less, stuffy? Like, just notice where it's at. Now you just created an awareness, like that right there, of like
Right,
noticing that. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Like I would have never did that on my own, right?
Hmm.
Like, because I'm so busy.
Yeah. And that's the part, I think, like, when in doing this work and wanting to, and putting out the practices, is that something that you said earlier that I want to bring it back to is, like, you said, like the reality of our situations, the reality of people wondering when is going to be their next meal. And um I believe, and this is hard even for me, I believe that we are the creators of our reality. There's not, there's not a lot of things we have control over, even though we do think so. But we are the creators of our reality. So if as much as I can stress about when is my next meal going to be, I can also change the narrative and trust that the meal is coming. So it's an operating choice, let's say, right? But for innately, right, the side that wants to protect you wants to worry because it wants to have some type of control of it.
Come on, Odaly. Come on, it's the control.
You can't be praising because then I'll be like,
like it's real though. Like that is like, like we want to control. I know for me, like I want to control. Like I want all control. Like I don't want to. I can't even think the other way, because then that means that I would have to then relinquish control.
Surrender.
What?
Yeah.
Which is like surrendering can feel like grief. Like that.
You don't want to go into that, because that's a whole, that you want to go into grief and loss, because that's a whole, because 100% when you surrender, think about it, most surrenderings, and if you're watching this, what does most surrenderings look like? You're like on the floor, I'm done. You're crying. I am not doing this anymore. I'm not, I release it.
Right.
It looks like that.
It's ugly. It's ugly.
And that's loss. Now you have like released it, like that's some loss of some control that you have now surrendered to,
Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, this is so good. So I want to, because I was sitting here like as you were talking, and I was like, I know that you mentioned, that you are a coach, but I also kind of want to, and you don't have to share like everything, right? But just again, for people who may not know, right? Because I don't want to be selfish, right? Because I know, right? I know I've experienced what you do at work. I mean, I haven't seen you, with patients, but I've experienced you, from my own experience. I hear a lot about you, right? The department that you in, right? And how, the great work that you do and the impact. Right. So I kind of just want you to share what you do at the hospital, just to give people some insight. Right. So they can have like a little understanding of, like why this is so important, and then why you carry it into your own journey too, as well.
Yeah, so I am what they, as I introduced myself, the mind, body, spirit specialist. And I believe, before that, there were things that I would say, like maybe like I was like an intuitive coach. There's like, it continues to evolve, because there's so many things that encompass the wellness part of it, right? And then every wellness is like so vague too.
Right.
So and I really did. I'm like, once the hospital, when I applied for this position, I was like, mind, body, spirit specialist, 100%. This is who I am, So I really adapted the title, because it doesn't. I feel like it's simplicity, like that. It's practical, and some people get a little bit like some people like spirit. What does that mean?
Right.
I can rub people the wrong way, but really, I always say spirit is just your heart. Like, yeah, just to give it like an actual space or place.
Yeah.
But I am the mind, body, spirit specialist for pediatric oncology, which is like basically I'm working with children and their families that are diagnosed with cancer or blood disorders. And I'm helping them through social and emotional tools to help regulate them through the journey of this hard process. And I am teaching them things like breathing, sound healing. I'm also certified in sound healing. I do sound healing, which was it's super funny walking around the hospital with my sound bowls. People are like, what is that? I remember the first month when I was working there, one of the patients needed support because they're nervous. They not only are we talking about the hospital space, it's a very very heavy space,
Yeah.
right? Like energetically it's just very heavy. And so, kids are already nervous, so there was someone that was having a hard time with getting her blood drawn, and the sound healing would helped her relax her while they were looking for her
Mhm.
veins. And this doctor walked in and he's like, what's going on here? And the nurse was like, oh, this is the mind body spirit specialist for, like, so and so department. Isn't this cool? And he's like, mind body spirit specialist. He's like, I know about mind and body, but I don't know about spirit. And then, like, like for him as a doctor, let's say, like, maybe he's more science driven. And then, so for me, I mean, for me, that my response was like, doctor, spirit is your heart and we all need one to live. So, and like, he just looked at me like I had two heads, but, and then here I am just like, ringing the bell.
But it worked.
Yeah, it's keeping her relaxed. They're doing they're doing their thing, and it's a team effort. So that's basically what I do. Especially, our babies are getting needles almost every week, maybe twice, 3 times a day, a week. There's so much that they're going through. The parents are suffering to see them suffering, and so, like, it's like to facilitate, not just to help regulate them, but also to give them a space to know that they're being heard, seen. Especially the kids, when you validate their emotions of how they're feeling, it's a game changer for them. And it's like they feel seen, they open up, and then parents open up. And quite honestly, like, with all the work that I do, even as we're doing this live, right? And I have a social media presence with for other things that I do, but using the same amount of, like, tools, right? I work with, like, I work with a lot of women groups, with women empowerment groups. I lead retreats. But when it comes to the community centered work, it's probably the least visual that you get on socials, because also HIPAA violations, and also it's just so intimate. I think, like, one of the things for me that I struggle with the social media presence is that these moments, I like, the last thing I'm thinking about is capturing something in camera,
Yeah.
or in it, but it's like in the the presence that I am witnessing with the patients and their families, and in certain, like, changes that I'm witnessing, because I am working with them, like, as coaching them. Let's say, like, if I'm working with them for like 2-3 months, some of them a year, it's like, wow, to see their emotional intelligence grow, to see the emotional intelligence grow within the parents. I think, like, that's from being a school teacher and being in this hospital space. One of the biggest things that was missing in the school is that you're teaching the kids these things. I was a teacher in the Bronx, so I'm
Mhm.
teaching them how to regulate themselves when they're going back home. I know they're not learning that, so it's like, but they're getting different sides of life. So in the hospital, one of the advantages is that I get to work with the parents, and I tell the parents, if they see you do it, they will trust me more and do it, because you are their, like, caregiver. They
Yeah.
trust you.
Yeah.
So that's what
That's
I do.
it's so rewarding,
Mm.
right? It sounds like it's very rewarding, but it also can be very heavy too, as well,
It
right?
is. It is. It
What
is.
you mentioned, um what you mentioned earlier, and I told you, like, I just appreciated, when you had mentioned that, even though, like, this week has been a heavy week, you still have been able to center yourself, right? And I just equate that to, like, just allowing yourself the no pressure, but giving yourself grace, which can also, just it can be challenging, right? Like, again, like you said, I'm not sitting here saying, what I'm saying, I got this mindfulness and this breathing and this pausing and this stillness all together. Like, I don't. I am learning and unlearning all at the same time. They're both existing, at the same
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
But I really do appreciate the work, that you do. And I like how you are able, like, to come back with, because it can creep people out when you say spirit, like, hold up, what you mean spirit, right? And you like,
Mhm.
it's the heart. We all have a heart. We
Mhm.
can't live without a heart, right?
Mhm.
Like, you can
Mhm.
automatically connect with people, and bring people in automatically when you say that, right? Because you can't, none of us could live without a heart. I don't care. I don't care what religion you decide to be in. I don't care who who you usher presence in. Like, it doesn't matter. If you don't have a heart, you're not living. That's just it, right? So I appreciate you giving the people, a little snippet of that. And I do, because you did mention, like, that mindfulness, right? And kind of us, like, maybe diving a little into, what mindfulness is, like what it is, and then what it isn't either, right? Because sometimes we have misconceptions of, like, oh man, yeah, that my girl, I ain't got time for no mindfulness. Like, what? Like, but understanding that it is actually, it's sustainable to human beings. We need that, right? So kind of talk about, what mindfulness is, and maybe what it isn't either.
I'm gonna start with probably what mindfulness is not.
Yes, go ahead, go for it.
And I'm gonna say I personally, like, mindfulness can be so many things. So I don't want to say that something is not mindful. I believe, like, anything that you do with your full undivided attention can be a moment of mindfulness. And I feel like that can be understood. Like, some of us praise multitasking and doing so many things at the same time and how great we're at it. Sure, no disrespect. I praise you if you can do all those things and get no errors, because I know I make errors if I'm doing that. But if you are, the more you focus your mind on one thing, the more you're growing the muscle and you're growing the ability to stay focused. And and it's like the brain is a muscle, and and that is a form of working it. So for me, it's like, whatever you do without your undivided attention, it can be a form of mindfulness, and not doom scrolling.
Right. Got it. You heard her. Odaly told us we not doom scrolling.
Yeah, because we are, because it's like,
I'm
yeah,
decompressing, girl.
the mind, no, you're like, the mind is like just operating so fast, and the impressions, like, impressions, like, that are left on the brain from things that you don't even know that you're mindfully scrolling and stay and register. That's like a whole nother topic, because subconsciously, that stays in the subconscious. But
Wow.
so I will go into, like, how I like to open up my sessions when I'm teaching about mindfulness, because it's really, I like to keep it very simple. Like, even as I teach mindfulness and yoga, like, for me, one of the things that working with children has taught me, especially, like, as I introduce this to adults who have never been exposed to, like, let's say, slowing down, connecting with themselves, is that my like for me, it's really big to keep it practical and simple. Like, I'm not using any, like, words that I'm like, oh, elevate or whatever. Keep it as super simple. So mindfulness, one of the definitions of mindfulness that I really love and that I always share, and I'm probably going to forget the name of the author because it's not in my head right now, but it's the one that I use, is that mindfulness is being able to pay attention to your life right here, right now, with kindness and curiosity. It's like paying attention to your life right here, right now, with kindness and curiosity. And if you take that and you really, like, that can be your intention for a whole week, for a whole month. Like, mindfulness is the ability to pay attention to right here, right now. How many of us are right here, right now? Some of our, I mean, you shared how you're always thinking, like, some of us, like, oh, the future, right? Like, how am I gonna get this? So we're either, like, somewhere in the future, somewhere in the past, somewhere in the present, trying to figure out the future or the past. So
like, the thoughts is thoughting.
Yeah, the thoughts are thoughting. That's good. Yes. And so that's right. That's that. And then the three main C's, like the letter C, that I like to go through and run quickly, is that the first C is curiosity. keeping open mind and a sense of wonder with everything. And I think this one's really important, because I can say that, oh yeah, keep a sense of wonder, but no, really, as an adult, when you have been through experiences and you think you know things, because we all think we know things, and we do know things, like we are where we are because of things that we have learned, life experiences. But when we are facing new experiences, every day is a new day, and some experiences may look similar, and you're operating from a past behavior in something, a new situation, you might be like missing out on an opportunity to grow, because you already fixed your mind on what you think you know. And so that leads me into the compassionate part. So compassion really is about, how do you describe compassion for yourself? What does that mean to you? How do you show compassion to yourself? What does that word compassion even mean to you? And how do you demonstrate compassion to yourself? Because if you don't know what that means for yourself, and you're not showing that to yourself, then it's going to be even more challenging. And I think this is why in our society, even now more than ever, where we have such I feel like the culture can be so like separate, right? There's like, some are together, some are very separate. It's like, what preconceived thoughts do you have, or judgments about a group of people or about someone that don't fit into your ideals of them? You're not showing compassion if you're operating from a space of judgment. You're not and then when we can stay open to the preconceived ideas. Did I lose you, Naisha? Well, I don't know if you guys can see me. I'm gonna keep talking. Let's see until she comes back. I'm not sure what happened. But we were in compassion. So once you learn to identify what compassion is for you, and notice your preconceived thoughts or ideas or judgments about someone or groups, and release them and meet them with compassion and love, with kindness and love, then you are starting to embody
I'm
the
back.
compassion. Yeah, you're good. I was like, I kept going.
Yes, good. Keep
Okay,
going.
yeah. No. So I was just saying, with the compassion, it's like, once we learn to identify what compassion is, once we learn to understand our like notice our preconceived thoughts and meet them with kindness and love, then first with ourselves, then we can show that outwardly. It's not, if we're not showing that with ourselves first, I feel like it's hard to know what that's going to look like and show someone that, if you're not doing it with yourself first. And then the last C is calming. And when we talk about calming, it's not about I'm staying calm and I'm doing these practices and I'm calm. No, and I told you that this is like the part where we were going to get into. So we were talking because Miss Bridges asked me, like, we did a little mindfulness, a little breathing before we started, and she's like, oh, I was like, why can I create this for myself? Why, I like, it's like I need you almost in a sense to like lead it. One is a different experience. It always feels nice when you're being led. That's just like, hands, even for me, right? Like, it's always nice when you're being led. But calming really steps into when you are, and I'm gonna take a moment.
Okay.
When we are respecting ourselves enough, we create a practice that's ritual to our well-being, that we practice every day. Every day. We make a time for it. We practice it every day. We practice it motivated. We practice it unmotivated. We practice it when we feel like it. We practice it when we don't feel like it. Every day, whatever that is, whether that's 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But when you are respecting your time and your space and your well-being, you start to create a ritual. And when you create that ritual, that becomes a pattern for you to now regulate yourself in different ways. And what I recommend in doing that and creating whatever that looks like is that to create maybe like 2 or 3 practices that you're doing, no more than that, maybe 5 minutes to start off with, whether that's a breath, whether that's a mindfulness practice, whether that's journaling, but commit to it. And once you commit to it, making it a ritual, the discipline then naturally will come, because when you don't do it, let's say you do it for like a whole month and then you stop doing it, then you're like, oh wait, something's missing.
Yeah.
I you know, the day you start your day and something happens, you notice that your presence and your energy, maybe like your, how do I say this, like your tolerating meter, it's like
Mm.
it's like, oh no, you don't, because now you didn't take care of yourself first. So that's when like the calming comes, and it's about these practices then create grounding, centering, um foundation for yourself.
Mm.
And then that's how I like, I don't know if I simplified it. I think like maybe I got lost in the sauce when I lost you, but that was
No,
it.
it's okay because you said it was the 3 C's?
Yeah. Curiosity, compassion, and calmness.
So I just really right, yeah, I know we lost each other, but that's okay. We came back. But when you were talking, right, it kind of just reminded me of like this whole like wellness and mindfulness and healing journey, right? Um it's all about you being a better you for you.
Mm,
Um and I realized, right, because I had did therapy, for like almost 3 years. And I realized it was just this time around when I restarted therapy again, I realized that I had been doing therapy for everybody else. Right?
mm,
I wanted everybody else. So I'm in therapy because I want everybody else to be better, never focusing on me. So
mm,
I'm just now like I just got the revelation that,
mm,
at the end of the day, like if you really, really want to heal or begin your healing journey, because ing always means ongoing. It's a continuation. It never stops. It never ends. But if you decide and you make a decision that this is what you want, right? It automatically makes you better for you, so then you can then be better for others, and then you don't have to pour from an empty cup. I think that's what all of what you were saying to me, like it's resonating with me, right? Because I got to be better for me, or I have to at least be able to I have to be compassionate to myself. I have to be curious enough for myself, right? For myself, in order for anybody else that's connected to me to be able to start, you know what I'm saying, to do whatever they need to do.
what you said is like period, because let me tell you something. You and not even like, and the way, you are, who says this, you're a walking revelation. Yeah, like we really are, like we don't need, we can use our words, we can use our stories, and storytelling is so powerful, right, to like testify what we've been through and our journeys, which is very important. But nothing speaks louder than the way that you're living your life. And I'm not saying that you start embodying all this wellness thing, practices, and you're no longer, now you're immune to challenges and you're immune to stressors. Like no, like oh no, there's layers to it.
Come
Like
on.
once you create some foundation, oh, life will come at you even more. And then I love that you said the ing. It's like a progression, because that's what healing is. And for me this year, something that I have learned is that um there's many things that I have, like, okay, this, I'm better at this, right? Like the healing has happened in a lot of things. Oh, but wait, when you are met with scenarios or situations that reveal once again what you believed is healed, then you're really, are you about what you committed to practicing, and all the internal undoing that you did, because now you're actually put into the practice of it in your reality, right? Now it's like you did the inner work. Now some time passes by, you're good, you're thriving, you're put in a space where now, oh, the healing is being challenged. Are
Come
you really healed from this. And I say this in ways like falling in love. Like, think about how many of us, this is like how it was for me. It's like I had like a revelation this year where it's like, oh my goodness, like my boundaries were limits I was putting on myself, in
Mm.
in closing off to receiving love. And I'm like, how I am a practitioner of this. Like, this is all I foster. How is it that I am gatekeeping receiving love?
Mm.
And it was because I had to sit with, like, oh, there was injuries that I have healed from, but are now being brought up because now life is asking me, do I trust enough to do it again? To open up to a new experience that feels so familiar, that I think I know what it's gonna look like, or the ending's gonna be.
Odaly, I'm getting ready to run around this living room, okay?
But that's how I was too. It was mind blowing to me. Like, like I'm over here, like, no, these are my boundaries, and this is how I do this. And then, like, it was like, no.
Oh, really? Let's test it.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. And then like, I had to sit with myself and be like honest with myself. I'm like, oh, part of healing is also, guess what? Doing it again. Are you willing to open up your heart and know that you're risking to be hurt once again? And then it's like,
Mm.
and I started to think to myself, then what's the purpose if I don't do that? And what's the purpose of me living if I'm protecting myself from receiving love? Because I'm
Mm.
afraid of being hurt. And that's what any relationship. Yeah, like, that's not just romantic. That's with any relationship. That's with friendships, family, anything. Like, can I trust? Can I let go of what I said I did and I worked on, and receive this new, like, in this new era that I am in my life? So that
That's so good.
it's just the different layers of it.
That's so good. Like, can we really? I'm just trying to think because my spiritual father, he had said something. Shout out to Apostle Jeffrey. He had said something in one of his sermons on a Sunday, and I can't remember, but it was just talking about, like, can you trust yourself? I can't remember. I'm hoping hopefully I'll be able to find. I think I took down notes, but it was kind of like speaking to what you're speaking to, right? Like, just being able to do you really trust yourself enough, right?
Mm.
And I know I wrote in my book, I had wrote, Naisha, I trust you. And I realized
Mm.
that, right, like, okay, in when I wrote that, right, I was in a space of, yes, I was trusting myself, right? But you, like you said, then I was tested what I was professing.
Mm. Mm.
So, and it didn't happen right away because, like, right, like, I wrote my book. It was published in 2022 or 2021, right? And then now this is just starting to happen now, right? Like, am I really, Naisha, do you really trust yourself? Naisha, do you really love yourself? Right?
Mm.
You also need to love yourself in order to receive love.
100%. 100%. And that's like where I was faced with, because I'm like, how is it that, like, this is like this, like, I'm telling myself, like, I'm the queen of this. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not only do I love myself so much, but I am fostering love everywhere. And it's like, oh, but now in like, when it comes to, like, really the vulnerability of trusting, like I have no control over this. Am I going to, like, not, what would be the alternative? To be sad and not receive this? To think that, oh, because it makes me think about how many times we do this in relationships. It's like, or like, I feel like even with males, it's like, I was just having like a very short conversation. I don't even want to get into this, but I feel like I need to, like, mention it. It's like,
Go
I
ahead.
I would I have this intuitive feeling, because of experiences that I've been in or have heard, that there are a lot more single men right now, and like, with many divorces happening, because women are exhausted from taking care of them. And then they're being called out to take care of themselves, but it's hard for them to face themselves, and no disrespect, by no fault of themselves, because they're also victims of the patriarchy. But it's also you have to take some accountability too and do the healing for yourself. And so it's like, and so it's like I'm like, this is like, it's like you will avoid wifing someone up because you're afraid to be hurt. That then you're avoiding to really living a fulfilled full life, because our purpose, I feel like there's many things that we're here on earth to do, but love is the ultimate one. And that's not even just by me. That is someone that I care for so deeply, that brought that to me. And I was just like, yo, 100%. Aside from everything I'm doing, if I'm not doing it with love and care, then what am I doing it for?
So true. So true. And and this is why Unmasking UTCM is not just created. It's not just a space for women. It's also a space for anybody that breathes, bleed, just like I do. It's a space created for you, right? So it's also created for a space for males right now. And like when and I don't really get into like the stats and all that stuff, right? But like one day I was looking through YouTube and I ended up on like the stats page, right? And it was like it's more women, right, that are looking at, or are watching, right? And it's just like, wow, like what is it that that UTCM can continue to do to show up in a space where men feel comfortable with being able to be transparent and vulnerable enough, right, to start their healing journey, right? Because then it makes us, you know what I'm saying, as human beings, like it allows us to connect in a better way, right?
100.
And being more honest,
100%. And
because
quite honestly,
where you at.
yeah. And I think, and that's a great point that you bring. And for the years that I've been doing this, I think like one thing that is missing for them is just more safe male spaces. Like they need to come up to, they and for, and I say they just as in general, like like I feel like with women, like they more brothers have to make space for brothers to feel safe to like talk about how they feel without being called out or made fun of or mocked, or or use that information against them.
Well,
And
sometimes that's a coping mechanism too, as well, right? Like, like, oh, I'm gonna make a joke out of what you just said because that made me completely uncomfortable. So now,
facts,
like, no, but this is not funny. Like, this is real.
facts.
Like, this is real life. This is like what I'm really, really dealing with. That is a great point. And it's sometimes you also, like, even with us as women too, like we gotta be willing to be in the space. You gotta be willing to walk in the space. You know what I'm saying? And unafraid. Right. Fear definitely keeps us back. I know that was me for a long time, even with still dealing with stuff, now, like, it's sometimes fear creeps in and I'm like, yeah, nah, it's a no for me.
Like fear is like, if we didn't have any, like one of my girls, I'm gonna say this, and then it's not of my own. Okay. But if there was no fear to push through, then like why be courageous? Like you're not courageous because you didn't have fear, you didn't feel fear. You're courageous because you pressed on beyond the fear.
Right, that's good.
You dare to test it. You dare to unmask it. Like what you're saying. And then once you unmask it, the layers like the levels continue to get higher, because now you understand. Then you start to really understand more of your power. You understand, because you're trusting yourself, you're believing in yourself. Even if you're messing it up forward. You tried it, you learned from it, and then you keep pressing forward. And one of the reasons where many of us are not daring to test our power, our divine right power of like moving in purpose with our lives, is because of that. It's because like we're afraid, but really we're afraid to like even and I say that because I there's parts before this moment of me having this moment with you, there was so much fear. Like there was an
Right.
Odaly that was not being social, or that was not exposing herself on social media, or being authentic about her story, or
Right.
for whatever reason, because I was wearing masks. But
Right.
there's, but some of those masks, some of those fears I've overcome, and now it's put me here. That doesn't mean I no longer have any fears. That just means that there's other layers. It's like a video game to life. Now I'm at another layer.
Yeah. So
So
good. Oh my goodness, Odaly. This was nothing but amazing. I like it. The time always goes by,
I know.
it always goes by so fast, but I do want people to be able to just experience what I experienced before we got on. Right. So if we can just do, just
Yeah,
the 2 minutes like we did before I got on, so people can kind of maybe begin to, lean into doing their own work. I definitely want people to be able to connect with you, in a way. So if anybody wants to connect with you, how can they reach out to you if they wanted to.
sure. Yeah, my Instagram handle is OT Wealthness, WEALTH. So like wealth and NESS.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So OT Wealthness. And I have my website, odalytineo.com. That was easy as my name, or easy, if you're seeing it on the screen. And yeah, we'll get into so yeah, you can connect, or you can email, you can shoot sign up for like newsletters right on the website, or Instagram is always, I'm very active on it, or Facebook as well, the OT Wealthness page.
Okay, so you know what? Text me all your handles and your website, and then I'll make sure that I'll put it on YouTube, both on
Yeah,
YouTube and
when you post
Facebook too.
it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
I'll put it. So we're going to, but before we go into this mindful, because I want us, once we finish, I want to end the live, right? If you can, just give an encouraging word to, someone who is watching, what would that word be?
One word.
It could be a word, it could be a phrase, something just to uplift somebody's spirit, right? That may be, wanting to lean into this space, but may not, have some hesitations about it. Like, what would your encouragement be to that person?
um I'm gonna say that with everything that we said, I'm gonna say leading with curiosity.
Mm,
If you lead with curiosity, if you see how children are before the world starts telling them how to behave, and who they should be, like we ourselves have that inner person, that inner child inside. So
mm,
if we can operate from that space, maybe just as an intention for your day, for one day, and maybe you journal what that felt like to lean in with curiosity versus like, oh no, I know this, or no, or I don't do that, or I don't try that, I don't eat that. Just,
mm.
I don't do that. Can you try and then say I try it and I didn't like it and I won't do it again, or see, you might surprise yourself. So I would say like lead with curiosity.
I love it. Lead with curiosity. I'm writing that in
Mm.
my journal.
Mm.
Lead with curiosity.
So,
All right.
and with that said, let's lead into curiosity with, connecting with your breath in this moment.
Yep.
So I'm going to invite you to just notice the space that you're in right now, whether that's your living room, whether you're on your bed watching this, whether you're outside, just capturing a little bit of that you just joined in. Just notice one thing that is in your environment. One, whether it's a picture, the floor, just notice one thing that captures your attention. So now you're just creating space to connect with your environment. And then I'm going to invite you to sit up tall, nothing uptight. Just sit up tall so that your shoulders are over your hips. And as we guide the breath, you can feel the breath flow from your head to your belly. So we want a nice long spine. Relax your hands, relax your feet. Just notice how your feet are connecting to the ground, or your shoes or your socks. Notice your hands, where they're placed. Don't change anything about them. Just notice where they're at. And then without changing anything about your breath, just notice what or how the breath is showing up today. So when I say that, that means like notice if the breath is deep in the chest, or maybe in the nose or throat area. Notice if your breath is restricted or flowy. Notice if your right nostril and left nostril feel different as you're breathing normally. And now we're going to slowly take a nice deep breath. And when I say that, I mean like let your belly get big with air. So let your belly expand, let your chest expand, let your shoulders relax. And then you're going to exhale out through your mouth. You can part the lips. So relax the jaw open, make sure that your teeth are not connected, and then just let the breath press out slowly. And we're going to do that one more time. Deep breath in, belly rises, chest rises, shoulders relax. Exhale slowly through the mouth, releasing anything that you may be carrying that is not serving you in this moment. And we're going to do that one more time. The more air you bring into the chest, into the body, the less work your heart does, the nicer and flowier your veins are with your blood. So we're going to do that one more time. Deep breath in, belly rises, chest rises. Relax the shoulders, breathe in a little more, and then slowly exhale through the mouth. Slowly, slowly. Can you go a little slower? Feel the belly pull in and up. Feel your shoulders melt down a little deeper. Now we're going to take one more breath, but this time we're going to keep the lips sealed. We're going to bring the mouth to close and just breathe in and out through the nose as we seal the practice, taking a nice deep breath in. Belly rises, chest rises, shoulders relax. Breathe in. Slowly let it go through the nose. Slowly. Slowly, you're in control. Relax. Don't hold any tension in the shoulders, in the hands, in the jaw. And then coming back to the space when you're ready, opening up the eyes. Maybe you take a smile or a frown. Move your facial muscles around. Thank you so much, Queen, for the opportunity. And it's been such an honor to share space and words with you.
Thank you so much, Odaly. I really appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, y'all. I'll see y'all. Bye.